That door closed so I don't have to compete with the window washer.
What's he got there?
The regular meeting of the Palm Springs International Airport Commission come to order.
That's what he said.
As Mr. Berry, Mr. Assistant Director, has the agenda been posted.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission. The agenda has been posted according to procedures.
Thank you. Mr. Smoot is at a legislative meeting, and so we have the honor of Mr. Berry taking charge of our lives and making everything wonderful.
He's helping the governor solve the budget deficit.
Oh, would you get by at 9 o'clock or just handle that too?
Anything you need.
Roll call, please, Marjorie.
Gazelle.
East Valley Commissioner here.
Bosworth.
Here.
Callahan. Chio.
Here.
Drysky.
Here.
Engelhardt.
Here.
Duncan.
Hello.
Frieden.
Here?
Luders.
Here.
Lovett. McLaughlin. Miller. Sherman.
Here.
Sisson. Spicer.
Here.
Tavill.
Here.
And Tyler.
Here.
The roll's been called.
Thank you. Helen will be here. They just sent a card, pick her up her car broke down, so you can be prepared to put her on the minutes. Approval of the minutes of December 4th.
So moved. Second?
I got
Ken?
just a minor English
Commissioner
correction.
Sherman?
Page 5, third paragraph from the bottom. The tile marble companies on Perez Road in Cathedral City get THEIR goods from.
Wow, you read it. Yeah, that's why he's telling me.
I was in the bathroom a long time ago.
Noted, and will be corrected because Marjorie is...
Second motion.
All in favor? Aye.
Say aye.
Those who oppose? Public comments. This is the time where anybody in the public may comment on matters that are pertinent to our jurisdiction. You have 3 minutes, and we welcome your comments. Any comments? Therefore, we'll move on to introductions. Barry?
There are none, sir.
Thank you. Agenda items, airport inspection plaza.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, before you is a recommendation to the Council that you approve the sole source purchase and installation of the inspection plaza fabric roof structure from Bird Air Corporation. I think all of you are pretty familiar with the Bird Air product. We'll have it on the Sunny Bono concourse, and you also approved it for the rental car ready lot. And behind you, I'd like to point out some pictures, actually on the wall over here as well, of what that fabric roof structure looks like. Yes, as you can see, it's quite dynamic, and it fits into the total architectural theme of the airport, as well as it provides the weather protection that we need for the inspection plaza in that location. I can tell you that staff has been working very hard and very diligently with Bird Air Corporation, especially Mike, to negotiate a reduced cost. As you can see before you, that cost was reduced quite a bit from $700,000 to $571,475. We do think that it's going to be a very dramatic entryway into the airport. It's going to totally tie everything together, and we recommend your approval.
Questions? First the motion. I'll take the motion.
I'll give you the motion.
Thank you.
And
Second. Yeah.
I just wondered if that would have gone airborne on Monday.
No, this one didn't on that one. The same type of.
Now, we're going to hold you to that statement. Any other questions? Larry?
Each of these looks like a unique design because of size and configuration, but still, is there a basis, perhaps on cost per square foot, that you can sort of compare this proposal with previous ones? Does it lend itself to that so that you know you're in the ballpark?
I'm going to defer to Mike on that one. I think, yes, it has been pretty much negotiated to where it is consistent with the square footage we paid for the ready lot structure, but Mike, you had any input for that one?
Actually, you really can't compare them. This is a fully engineered structure, whereas the rental car items were a certain sense of prefab, canned standard unit off the shelf. This is a custom design, just like the building is. In it's really apples to oranges to try and compare them. We do feel comfortable, though, that the price we've negotiated for this is fair. And Bird Air certainly has stepped up their efforts and realized that they have an opportunity to in a certain sense, mark this facility with their product, and they're very excited about it. So the pricing reflects that excitement.
Gary, did you have a comment?
Yes, I really like the term value engineered down. That's great. I love that. Whoever came up with it. A couple of questions here. I'm assuming this is federal grant money, right?
Yes,
Right.
it's 100% federal.
Right. Where was the value down from? Where was that taken out of? And this does not include the building itself, does it?
That's correct. This is just the fabric roof. Let me point up just a couple seconds on the map here. And this drawing here is about 3 weeks old. There's been some minor tweaks in it from this. Several things we did. We started out with 3 pieces of fabric up here versus the current 2. There were some savings and trade-offs there. We even looked at a complete 1-piece fabric at one point. There is a trade-off whether you manufacture and cut one large piece of fabric versus several smaller pieces. The two pieces of fabric had some cost benefit as also just as well as architectural and kind of structure the way it laid out. The biggest thing we did value engineering wise is within the space, the clearance from these signs to the top of the fabric, we took about 10 feet out of this structure. Right now the peak of this is at 43 feet and it was at 54, 55. So we just, and all that really did was just reduce the amount of steel in these columns. So we did shrink that. There was a little bit of money savings there. There's a concrete footing and all these pedestals to protect them, and we actually made the footings a little bit higher. Concrete's a little bit cheaper than steel. Those are the main items. We looked at these different attachment points. There's versus this layout versus a standard pole, and there is a little bit of trade-off in those areas. So kind of between all those little tweaks, it added up to some money.
Gary, what do you estimate to be the service life of that fabric?
The very first fabric roof structure was installed in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia in the early 1960s. That facility is still in use. It's had a few repairs on it, nothing major. We have wait for our customers. We have a maintenance service agreement with Bird Air. They come out once a year and perform an inspection on the fabric. They actually get out and walk on top of it, and it can be repaired. Like I said, Riyadh's been in use coming up on 40 years now, which I think is a lot longer than Bird Air expected. They look at 25 to 30 years. So in this climate, I think we'll get a long.
Yes, go ahead.
Just a question, the positioning of the canopies will protect all of the inspection stations from direct sunlight at all times during the day?
Not at all times. We had to make some concessions, but we did do a shade study with the architects, and for probably 90% of the time, the people will be.
And it definitely will protect the inspection device itself.
Any other comments?
Something to mention, aerodynamics. Aerodynamics does get pretty windy sometimes. I mean, obviously, this is probably engineered to
That's correct.
not go with doors and Toto.
That's correct. Yeah, that's all taken into account. We have all the reaction loads that Bird Air developed, and those have been passed to the structural engineer for the sizing of the concrete footing. So
What
that's
type
all
of material
taken.
is it?
It's actually a tensile membrane structure. The easiest way I can describe it to you, if you think of your nylon backpack or briefcase, it's kind of ripstop nylon. Just consider this stuff on lots of steroids, and that's what it is.
Any other comments? Bill?
First, I have a little concern spending $1 million on a inspection of the building and cover. 2, I don't like the word that every time we say that, oh, that's federal grant money. You know, it's tax money. You know, it's our money. So I really dislike the word that we're getting something free here.
Yeah, it's, actually, it's ticket tax money.
I beg your pardon?
It's ticket tax money. Out
But
of the
it's
trust
people
fund.
coming in and out, and then we keep raising the tax money.
Sure. Any other comments?
One minor question, obvious question, I'm sure it's light retardant in a total sense.
Yeah, correct. It has all the rules from the state fire marshal.
Seeing no further questions, call for the
Question.
question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those who oppose? Passes. Southerly terminal access roadway signage. Mr. Berry?
Southerly Terminal Access roadway signage. Yes. The staff is seeking the commission's input on the verbiage for this particular signage. The design team worked very hard to try to come up with alternatives. Unfortunately, the design team found that the best alternative is the one in existence now, in terms of the verbiage being the East Valley cities. There are some issues related to the size and the characters of the sign. Mike can explain the details related to that in terms of the traffic study that was done there, so that the visibility of the sign is not hampered by putting too many letters on it. But we are here to get your input. We do think that this is the best recommendation, but if there are other alternatives out there, we'd like to hear them.
All right, let's open the discussion. Bill?
The motion first?
I'm not sure whether this is really a motion here, but I guess we could, should, maybe we will.
Make the motion.
Okay, there's a motion,
If I may.
and you want to second it? Is
I'll
that-
second.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor,
What is the
but
motion?
I'm not sure what the motion
Make-
is. So someone will have to bear with me and certainly Marjorie as to what the motion is. It looks to me like a discussion item, then we should go, which is fine, we don't have to do it any other way. Let's do it as a
Certainly make a
discussion.
motion to accept the recommendation of the design.
Sure, if that's what.
I'll make the motion.
That's the motion that's now on the floor, seconded.
I'll second.
Okay, now we can go to discussion. Bill?
One, people that don't know our valley wouldn't know East Valley, what that meant anyway. Two, if we lived down here, we think, I think if I saw the sign, I'd think of Nile and the Mecca that I'm headed to. And I'm not sure who mandated the quotation marks, East Valley Parkway, to get to 20 items, I guess, on one, or 20 characters on one line. Who mandates the size? Coming in today, I saw a lot of double signs and triple writing that I don't know where it was mandated by the same person or not.
Robert?
Well, this item has been on the commission's plate for well over a year. It's been investigated by the Convention and Visitors Authority. We want to get some meaningful signage that tells the world where they're going. If Joe Podunk steps off the plane from mid-America, he has no idea where he's going, as Bill says. The signs now are meaningless, and I think the minimum, we need to have signs that identify the cities and how far away they are. And again, I don't know where the limitation on one line of 20 characters came from. That's about what we have now, and my move would be to reject it and tell the staff to work with the CVA to come up with some meaningful signage.
Mike?
Is there, I missed something reading it last night, is there a group that's actually looking at the different ways that we perceive signs? I mean, kind of a working group within this?
There's two, not here, but there's two actual things going on. The city is trying to uniform their signs.
Okay.
I don't know how far along that is, but it's a long-going process. They'd like to have, much like some of the other cities, you always see that sort of a trademark when you see it. Yeah, right. So the city is trying to do that, and I don't know if we're even close to conforming with that. Mike, can you tell us a little bit where this 20 characters, 4 feet high, and where these signs are going to be? I'm a little unsure about what this is all
Give you a little
about.
history. First of all, the signs we're talking about are the same theme and schematic layout as the signs that we are installing for the rental car lot, whereby they have that brown background with the white lettering and then the white arm mast in various different configurations. The designers have identified really 2 locations where we need to inform the public via these signs of their options. One is down in this area, and this sign down in this area will be a large overhead sign, very similar to what you see on the freeways. It'll actually go over all of the
Just tell us where we are. Yeah, that's the exit areas we're kind of rolling.
Yeah, this is currently the loop roadway does this in this part. So this is the expanded portion that'll get put in. This is the Mid-Valley Parkway as it comes in, and this is El Cielo, and then this is Bristol on the other side. So this is what's going to be modified. There will be a sign approximately in this location that we need to advise those people.
That gets them eastbound on the Mid-Valley Parkway, is that the intent?
That's the intent, correct.
Now, will there be any signage to keep them from making that left turn to go back through the loop?
There will be signs that will tell people this. This also gets into the overheight detector system of the vehicle. So there'll be signage indicating that, and then there'll be the signage that'll indicate, East Valley cities. It'll guide them out there. There'll also be other signs in this area that'll keep them going that way. So they're
That's
aware when
almost
they have
all
this
other
system.
valley cities.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not,
That's the intent.
it's all the cities.
Well, there's Desert Hot
East
Springs
and
is the other way. That'd be north.
Well, you still go down there a little bit before you cut across it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if I didn't know this area, I would think, well, okay, what's East Valley, what's West Valley, but there's nothing west. You gotta go
Is there a sign that says Palm Springs one way, other cities,
all valley cities.
other cities? I mean, East Valley is kind of a, go ahead.
Look, this is a great opportunity for tourism promotion because
Yeah.
so many people come in by plane this way. And people who live here would prefer to see something that's rather than East Valley, something to talk about the limitations of words. This is not what I suggest specifically without greater thought, but more resort cities, something like that.
How about the city logos?
Well, that's been suggested.
More resort cities. In other words, get a tourism pitch into it and not just East Valley industrial cities.
Other resort cities.
Well,
Leaving Palm Springs.
more or other, something that also ties into
Don't
desert
Palm
resort.
It's all, it's every city that's left besides that.
Gary?
Well, there's other places, like say in Riverside, there's just a sign that says Indio, I mean, that seems to be the highway department's concept of what's east of here, at least of there. Not that James had told me to tell me to say that.
You're getting on,
But a lot of people don't know this is really a valley, so I think if you drop the term valley, just say east cities, even though there could be some people who are directionally impaired that don't know east from west, but you drop the valley concept, it's the east cities.
I resent that. No, I'm just saying, if I'm a stranger coming in here and I see that sign, I really don't know east from west getting off
That's
an
what I meant.
airplane, I'm a stranger.
Yeah.
What does East Valley Cities mean to me?
That's true, that's what.
Where's East Valley?
That's where the problem lies.
John?
A lot of good comments there, but isn't this a study in frustration? Because don't we have to either conform to the signage rules of the city of Palm Springs or get a waiver from that?
Well, I think we have to be cognizant of it. I am a little concerned knowing that they are trying to come up with a uniform sign system. But we're going to be well ahead of them because unfortunately that's a forever project. And
Maybe I can kind of answer several questions. First of all, one of the things that we're doing with this program is that the airport roadway system will have a master signage program, not only for directional signage, but regulatory signage as well. To be honest with you, what the signs you see on the roadway system right now, it's not a program. It's simply a matter of, okay, I think there's a problem, let's put a sign up. And one of the dangers in signage is over signage can sometimes be worse or, than not having enough. So this will get us to that step. As far as the size of the signs, the overhead signs, there's just a certain amount of space in there for text based on the speed of the vehicle. The text has to be a certain height. If you get into additional lines, of the sign, it will affect not only the footing size and the structure size of the sign, it becomes a large cost item. As as well as you have to take into the wind loads account and all that. So there's several engineering items that have to be addressed if you go that way. One of the options that could be explored is there could be a second set of signage somewhere farther down the Mid-Valley Parkway section that would indicate some direction, and that could almost be somewhat of a regulatory type sign. But there could be some options like that. And we do have a little more freedom if we go to some additional signs that are almost like a pedestal mount on the side of the roads that we could accommodate. But the overhead types get real tricky from an engineering standpoint to get when you start adjusting the size and the face of the sign.
Can I,
Yes, go ahead, Jay.
at the Ontario Airport, they have the signs there that'll tell you when you're turning left or whatever, all the airlines there. Why couldn't you do something like that with the cities?
As I mentioned, it could be done. It's strictly a cost issue. And that's, at this point, why the design team had made really an engineering dollar type decision to not go that way. It can be done, but it will drive the cost of that sign up significantly.
And where does that, I mean, what cities, how many cities is the question as well?
All the East Valley cities.
Which would be a very good point.
Yeah, I don't think
There'd be
East needs
seven
to
or
be in
eight.
there, just other.
Yeah, other resort cities, those 19
Maybe
letters.
desert resort cities or something.
Well, the resort city, point towards Palm Desert.
Oh, I'd certainly say that Coachella is not a
Say Bill's
resort
house.
city at this
No,
time, but it's a city.
They're working on it.
Potential.
They are. Robert's here next.
Oh, as I mentioned earlier, there has been in existence for quite some time a study of this problem by the Convention and Visitors Authority, which is the joint authority for all the cities in the Valley. Mayor Kleindienst has been involved in it. Right now, the CVA is working on uniform signage along Highway 111 through all the cities. To me, doing this in a vacuum without their participation is wrong. And that's why I suggest we need to table this and get staff working with the CBA to come up with something that's meaningful to all concerned. That would have been my motion.
Yeah, just a comment. When I get into a airport, unfamiliar city, I'm going to rent a car. And the first person I ask as to where I've got to go is the person I'm renting the car from. Would not most of the people that come into Palm Springs do the same? The people who live in Palm Springs certainly know where all the cities are. A person who's unfamiliar renting a car is going to get the directions to go to whatever city he needs to go to.
I may get the French salute.
True. But I would think this is not as big a problem as I think we're trying to make it out to be.
I think you're right.
Really?
Comment? Really?
Kidding.
Comments? Any other comments? What would you like to do?
I think tabling is fine.
Did we make a motion?
We made a motion.
Okay, so we need to vote on that
Is
motion.
there a timing issue on approval of this? Is this an urgency matter?
Good question.
We
We
are,
are on a timeline where we hope to have this project out to bid in early February. Excuse me. Certainly there can be changes to the construction documents after you go out to bid by the addendum process. We are hoping to limit the amount of addendums on this project as we do on anything we do in our dollars. It could be done. The fabrication installation of the signs would not actually occur till the last third of the job.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
Well, this is a tough issue, and it's hard for a committee like this to decide what's best, but in favor of the staff's recommendation, it does say East Valley, and that helps, that's a clue to the directionally challenged. It's east, if you follow that sign. And that if you come here, you're coming here for some purpose, you have a sense of that there are, if you're going to Palm Desert, you have a sense that's east of the airport, or if you're going to get a rental car, you're going to sure find that out. So saying East Valley, as I think about it, and probably for most of the people that are going to be taking that road that are unfamiliar with this valley, that's going to be informational and useful. It's an economy of words. It's different than listing all 8 or 9 cities entities we have here. So I think I'm going to vote for the staff recommendation. We have a motion, and that's what I'm.
We do have a motion. Is there a will of the body here before we go challenging ourselves with motions and so forth?
One more comment, though. I do not like the idea that we're going to think about not doing a larger sign because of some footings, but 2 signs. I think we ought to eliminate that, and if we can afford $1 million entry, I think we afford some extra concrete and a footing for a sign.
How about a big north arrow on this sign?
Well, I have a motion on the floor. Would anybody like to do anything else? If not, we'll vote on the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
And those who oppose?
Aye. We have a show of hands.
Let's do that. All those in favor, stick your hand up in the air.
Would you review the
Yes,
motion?
the motion is to accept the staff report as presented to us. All right, and the motion has been seconded, and therefore the vote is on that motion. All those in favor, hands in the air, please. 1, 2, 3, okay? And those who oppose, a significant number of oppose, motion is defeated. Would somebody like to recommend where we go from here?
May I ask you a question before you do that?
Sure, Bill.
Does since it's happened once before in my life, what if the matter goes to the city council and still recommends this sign?
Well, I would think they'd take a listen to us very carefully on this issue. The only thing they're probably going to be concerned about is, are we matching up with everything else they're trying to do? I think that would be the question we hear from them. We kind of have our own little world here, and I think we can probably deal with it.
Yeah, it won't be the first time that
No.
it's been overridden.
Right, and that could happen. I wouldn't foresee it in this issue, frankly, but God only knows.
That would not be our intent, so.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to try another motion then.
All right, let's try it again.
Move the commission reject the 20-character one-line East Valley City sign proposed by staff, and instead direct staff to work with the Convention and Visitors Authority to develop meaningful signage related to the East Valley City. I was going to specify listing the cities and whatnot, but I guess they can work that out with the CBAs.
And bring that back to us at the next
Bring it
meeting.
back to it as soon as they can. I don't know if it's the next meeting.
Second motion.
The motion has been seconded. All those in favor? Aye. And those who oppose? Motion passes. You guys can work on that and kind of, if necessary, if you can even mail us out something, if you get somewhere you think you really
Yes,
are.
we may actually pull one of our subcommittees together also.
Okay, and that's what we have committees for, smaller working groups that are intellect and all that. Spartans.
Same intellect.
Okay, compressed natural gas vehicle station dash lease agreement.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, before you is a recommendation to the City Council to approve a lease agreement from the City of Palm Springs and Energy USA for the installation and operation and maintenance of a new CNG vehicle fueling station. I regretfully did not give you a layout, so I'm passing one around so you can see where that is exactly, the proposed layout of the new fueling station. As you know, we've had a cooperative clean air program in place for a number of years with Sunlight Transit Agency and the City of Palm Springs to operate the existing CNG plant. With the new project and southerly access roadway reconfiguration, it's been determined that this location needs to be relocated. And we had actually already begun discussions with Energy and Sunline for this particular move. Energy is planning to put about $850,000 worth of improvements to the plant. It will have a much higher dispensing capability. It will go from basically 75 per equivalent gallons an hour of CNG to about 500 gallons an hour of dispensing capability. It'll have a 30,000 gallon capacity tank on it and a bigger supply line coming from the street. It is very helpful to the staff of both the airport and the City of Palm Springs to have this plant right on the airport, particularly for all of our emergency response vehicles. And we will actually make a little revenue. They've actually got themselves to the point now where they can pay us some revenue in terms of the amount of gallons they're going to be pumping through there. So we'd like to establish a formal lease agreement with Energy for this improvement, and we recommend your approval.
Okay, motion please.
Where's it going to be located at?
It's basically southeast of the existing location.
Currently, the current CNG station is in this area right here, and where the space they have is this block over here. Now, the entrance and exits to the station will not be as configured on this map. You see on the wall that it's been revised a little bit, but we're basically kind of just giving them a square, and they can put their station in that square.
Jerry.
I'd like to make a recommendation that the commission recommends to the city council that we approve it.
Second. Okay, we're going to call out a motion, not a recommendation. Are there any other comments, Robert?
How much, I guess for lack of a better word, civilian use of the station are we getting?
We get about 15,000 gallons pumped through there.
What are those mostly? Taxi cabs?
Mostly taxi cabs, other city vehicles, which we will actually make revenue from as well. So the only revenue that we would not make a percentage rent on would be airport vehicles.
But is it open to the general public?
Yes, in fact, it is open to the general public, and with the higher dispensing capability this has, the wastewater, the waste trucks, which now sometimes have difficulty fueling there because it takes so long, we'll be using it more, and hopefully we'll be using actually more gas, so we'll actually make more money.
Thank you.
Any other comments, Mike?
Yeah, where's the tank? I'm trying to see it on there.
The tanks are somewhat separate from you see them there, just the little tubes that are just off to the right there. And that's just an initial rough layout.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Security?
Security will be provided basically by our CCTV, and it's right in the location where we do have our transportation center, closed circuit television, and we also do perimeter patrols on a regular basis, and as well as the energy will be there periodically to perform the maintenance.
With civilians coming and going in there, that's a nice, easy, fun thing. You could make a lot of fireworks out of it.
It's kind of remote right
Any
now.
other questions, Jerry?
I guess mine is two parts. First of all, this is like in the front door of the airport, since we're going to redesign it, right?
Actually, it's pushed back some, so it's not right as visible as it is. It was in the way as it is now, so it's moving back toward the ground transportation area.
As civilians come in here to fuel, and the city trucks and so forth, are they going to get involved with all the traffic flow? Will there be a separate entrance to that spot?
Yes, as Mike pointed out.
What the intent will be, and then this is a concern that has been expressed by Energy, is the access to the site. They do want to increase the use of it. The primary access, we believe, is going to be down through here, which this is the current ground transportation facility, and vehicles can enter in here and go into the fueling area, obtain their fuel. If they want to go back towards the west, they can go this way. If they want to go to the east, they can go around this way and go out to Vermont.
So really the access is going to be right than it is now.
So in terms of the so-called front door to the airport now, will it be landscape such that it will look bad?
Yes, that's correct. And keep in mind that this is going to be a completely new facility, and I'm sorry I don't have a picture for you, but it's much better looking than the existing facility that we have now.
Is that expandable, Barry, just real quick? Is there blank, and that the increase in volume there, we have to go through this again?
I believe it can. I would probably have to defer to Energy to find out what that capability is, but I think they did indicate it could be.
That relates to my question too, Chuck. What's the surrounding land use right now? Are there vehicles, some vehicles?
The surrounding land use is basically the taxis that are parking at the ground transportation center and the new roadway, which would be sort of the access roadway.
And is that all airport property?
Yes.
Around there?
Yeah.
And as far as our master plan is to continue those land uses. So what I'm getting at is that this is this natural gas, this compressed natural gas facility. You don't want to build a hospital right next to it, for example, or a schoolyard right next to it. And so our land use takes into account that it should be maybe kind of remote, away from population concentrations and that kind of thing.
That's correct, and we would be very concerned about putting anything that wouldn't be compatible there.
Well, let me address that if I may. We went through this
Robert.
in the installation in our city, and despite all the natural fear and the danger of a CNG station, it really is no worse than a regular gas station. It's tracks directly
Yes,
on the spec.
they have a lot of safety standards that they have to abide by, and we'll certainly make sure that they do that here as well.
In fact, the track record is better.
Probably better than a gas
Yes.
station.
Any more comments?
Just as a question, maybe out of ignorance, but are there many other CNG fueling locations in the area?
Yes, they have one at Sunline, and I believe they have one in Thousand Palms in India, right? And then Energy provides a little handout which shows all the locations. And we're certainly on that.
All right, seeing no further questions. Richard, did you have something to add?
I said one question. I wasn't involved in this particular project, but was Energy at all interested in building a larger gas-inclusive facility and relocating it north and putting a facility that pumped gas as well?
No, at this point, we're just talking compressed natural gas.
And that's kind of what we've always had there. Any other questions? If not, I call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
And those who oppose? Motion passes. Updates. Barry, shall we do airport security first?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, and just wanted to let you know that we've been working very hard to meet the deadline for our explosive trace detection systems that many of you have probably seen in place. We did meet the deadline on the 28th. Mr. Anthony is here, and we've been coordinating very closely with him and the airlines, so it's been a real team effort. We have ongoing efforts as well to enhance that and make it better for the passenger. And Tom, would you like to add to that?
Sure, Barry, very shortly. Again, I'd like to thank the airport and the air carriers for their flexibility. The point that I'd like to stress that Barry made is that we are continuing to modify and change and to tune this thing to make it go as quickly and as smoothly as possible. So we're not locked into the configurations that we're looking at right now. I'd like to thank the chairman for your insight in proposing one of the changes, which is working out very well. And so, although I feel, and I think we all feel that it's going well, we're not satisfied with it. We want to get it really as smooth and as efficient as possible. So I anticipate we'll be tweaking the system for probably another month or two and improving the flow.
Yeah, I'd like to comment and compliment your people. First off, their friendliness with the passengers under sometimes stressful situations of a bazillion people on top of you throwing their bag at has been really, I've stood down there quite a little bit, and I think they deserve credit for being as good with the passengers as you could possibly be. That's wonderful. It appeared to go pretty well on Sunday, which was a very busy day. In fact, I would say that the airlines got ahead of the inspection business more than anything, and I thought with a few exceptions it was going fairly smoothly. People were coming a little early and they knew there'd be potentially waits, so I didn't see anybody getting hostile or going crazy. A couple of your subordinates were there to kind of soothe people if there was a question. It's not perfect, but it's better than we, in a way, anticipated. So I'm really very pleased, and I'm going to report that tonight to the City Council. It ain't perfect, but we're getting there, and Tom and his people deserve a lot of credit for taking hold of some of the issues down there and just making decisions and doing it. So I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for your kind comments, Chairman, and I will pass that along to
Yes.
people.
I think you should. It's amazing to watch how well they work with people under those conditions. All right.
Are the navigators facilitating?
Yes, and we can talk, Barry, you want to talk about the navigators?
Sure. The navigators are actively down there helping the passengers. We have a training session set up on the 15th to reiterate what exactly is needed. They've been flexible as well as we've made the changes, and we'll continue to be so. We hope to provide as much customer service as we possibly can to help the passenger transition through this.
It's a good program, and the response of the people to sign up for it is overwhelming.
Yes, it's been very
I
good.
believe you have 60 some now?
Approximately 60, right?
And we anticipated 35 maybe. Most of them are pretty good at it.
Yes, they are.
And you're carrying, I noticed kind of the week was strong, that's good.
That's great.
It's a good thing.
Chuck, has anyone taken Herb's place on this?
No, Barry's been doing the work, and it's a lot of work.
I don't know where the.
Did you want to volunteer?
Thank you, Bill. No, I
got a shirt for you.
You can have one of the big extras. No one has taken Herb's place, and Barry's obviously had to step in and do it, and a fairly significant workload. I think once you get it organized, you'll be able to turn it over to somebody less.
Just to point out, Herb is so actively involved that his wife is actually now going to be a part of the program, and she's shown a lot of interest and may even fill some of that role. So
very good. Any other comment? Well, we're back to the report, but go ahead, Bert. Did you have something?
Just a comment. I happened to be talking to navigators down there this morning before the meeting and asked a question which I didn't really know the answer to, and I should have perhaps. But all these flyers that are promotion pieces for the destinations, attractions in the valley,
right.
There is a fee that they have to pay for those slots. And that money goes where?
it's two actually. One belongs to the Convention and Visitors Authority, which is right at the desk, and they do the advertising and the sales for that. Right. The other brochure rack, which is just next to that, is a part of our airport displays contract.
Okay.
And they coordinate with him and pay.
The money comes to the airport?
A portion of the money does.
Okay, well, this could be something that perhaps could be expanded, and the navigators at that point did not know who would be the person to contact and if there's any charge for it, because I think some of the destinations here would perhaps add on to that.
Yes, they're still training and still learning, so they're, a lot of times we're referring to our staff for assistance in that.
Any other comments? Barry, we're back on the report. I'm sorry, Larry, did you want to comment on the?
I'm just curious, I think we do a great job here at this airport, and I'm proud of the way this airport is run and how passengers are taken care of. And the passengers' attitudes about that are in part the contrast of what they experience here with maybe having to come to LAX or Chicago or Phoenix or wherever. And I was just kind of curious with the all baggage inspection now, how is that going in some of the big hubs that serve us? And if it's a little more congested than here, then we, by comparison, really look good to these folks, I think.
I think you're right, Larry. It depends on the location, but I called my boss in Washington last week with a couple of complaints, or we need this or we need that, some red flags. He said, Tom, they've got 300-meter long lines at some airports. You are in excellent condition. So it may not have felt completely comfortable to me, but I think we were at the head of the queue.
Good.
Yeah.
That's what I suspect.
I scratch my head and wonder every day, how did we get such fine people to work with here? I don't know. But we are so fortunate, the people who applied for it and were selected for these jobs. I would welcome you to do the same, everyone to do the same thing that Chuck does. Just stand back and watch how pleasant and outgoing and polite these people are. You can't teach people to be that good. So we're just very fortunate here. So
part of the breeding.
Yeah.
Back to the security issues, and have we discussed everything? Okay, and as I said, I think we're on track. It's just the track's a little rugged yet, but we're getting it. So we're doing good there. Air Service Development.
Richard.
Just a couple of issues.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Chief. Northwest, beginning today, 9 a.m. You can see the tail end out there. We'll begin its second flight to Minneapolis. That's an overnighter. Alaska will be upgrading 2 of the Seattle flights with their 172-seat 737-900s. Those will be beginning on February 8th and running through April 27th. And then Sun Country is still scheduled to come in here beginning on January 23rd. operating on Thursdays and Sundays, out of here with the 73800, which is a 168-seat aircraft. And United has added 2 more LAX trips, so we're up to 13 into LAX and 1 more Las Vegas, and so we're up to 3 there, and those began yesterday.
Great. Is United still run pretty much by SkyWest?
Yes, they have not renegotiated those contracts. SkyWest is being asked by United to renegotiate those contracts.
I would just assume that since that is a profitable center, that something will happen positive there, no matter what happens to United. Maybe there was a bright side to United leaving us here for a while, leaving us with United Express. Personal question. Go ahead.
Now it's time for the comment.
If you wish to
I
comment.
just want to comment on, I flew out of here on December 28th, right in the middle of all of this. And I think that was the first day they started the baggage inspection. And they wiped my bags down, and checked it out, let us go through. Some people were randomly picked, and they opened up their bags. Not a problem. It took about a half hour to get through, so I got here early anyway. The plane, however, leaves a lot to be desired. It's the new Continental regional jet. If you've ever had an MRI, it's like flying in an MRI. I'm dead serious about it. There were 3 people on a plane who said they would do everything they could not to fly that airplane again. My wife happened to be one of them. It's very, very narrow. It's low. A 6-footer cannot stand up straight. The seats are narrow. They're leather. They feel and look good, but they're hard. On a 3-hour-plus flight, you really got a sore butt when you get off. The flight attendant, there's one for, the good news was the flight was full, going both ways. I came back on it the second. Food, not interested in food these days, even though we had a ham or a turkey sandwich coming back on a 3-hour flight. But to me, airlines are not restaurants. Their aisles are so narrow that 2 people cannot stand up at the same time. If somebody needed to go to the one bathroom in the back, they had to actually wait until the aisle was open to get down there. If the flight attendant was in the middle, there was no way to get by, not like other planes. You had to lean over. It was very uncomfortable to fly that long. A 1-hour flight, hour and a half, maybe. But a 3-hour flight, very, very uncomfortable. And the other thing that really upset me was I came from San Antonio. And San Antonio, the baggage selection, my wife and I both had our bags open down to the point where they searched what was inside the shoes. Very, very cordial and courteous about it. That took almost a half hour just to get through, just for us, not counting anybody else on the flight. But the pilot got on the intercom and announced we have to top off the gas, because if he didn't do that, we'd have to stop in Phoenix for fuel. So Palm Springs is obviously at the very end of the service capability of that airplane. If the headwinds were any greater, they were running about 50 knots at the time, we would have had to land in Phoenix for an hour. I don't think people are going to appreciate that. So this is like a heads up. People are going to complain, I think, about the airplane itself, not anything else. It's a very uncomfortable airplane to fly. When we got to Houston, all of the regional jets were there. Looks like Continental Express have changed all of their planes, at least all the ones that were parked there, to this RJ 145 or 45, I don't remember what it was. It was not a pleasant experience. There were at least a half a dozen Marines coming back, brought back early. On the plane coming back on the 2nd, and some of those guys were big guys. They were very uncomfortable. So, heads up, but that's just the comments I have. Was this the Aerobus? No, this is Continental Express.
Oh, okay. What manufacturer is that, Barry?
Embraer.
Brazilian.
But Richard, is it pretty much the same inside as the RJ?
It is. They're just a different configuration between the CRJ and the XRJ. I've been on the plane. I'm 5'11". I stood up and walked down the aisle. I didn't have any uncomfortableness. I enjoyed the flight, the seats. I don't know. Obviously, opinions differ.
Were you on a full plane?
Huh? I've been on the plane, so
you know, I just didn't have any problems with it. I actually enjoy it from a standpoint of comparing it to flying out of here on an MD-80. If you've got your typical usual carry-on bag, which will not fit in the overhead compartment up above, they very courteously take the bag from you, they red tag it, they put it down below, so you don't even got to hassle with it. You get on the plane, you know, when you get there, boom, they give it right back to you as soon as you get off the plane, and you're done, and you're not hassling with shoving your usual carry-on into the overhead bin. From the standpoint of a window seat, I mean, you got a 67% chance of sitting by a window for those people who prefer that type of seating. And you've also got a very good chance of sitting alone and not having that person right next to you if you're one of those single flyers. So when you look at different aspects of it, I can certainly understand the comments of the commissioner, but from my standpoint, you know, I enjoy the aircraft, I enjoy the flight that's there, so I think it's just going to depend on the person. And in talking with the customers that have come off the first 2 of those flights, there were no complaints from any of the customers that came off those flights. Bryant and I were down there just talking with some people and seeing how the flight was, because we were interested in the perception of people, and they enjoyed it. They enjoyed the flight over.
Well, I'm going to ride it tomorrow. We'll find out. We'll get the acid test.
How tall are you?
6. Well, I used to be 6'1". I think I'm 6 now. Thank you, Ken. I do think that RJs take some adjusting in people's heads as to what that kind of aircraft is.
If you're just doing bonanza or successful.
Yeah, it's a different world, and people don't associate that RJ with the long haul. I think that's part of the problem.
After they've SkyWest was more comfortable in this one.
With the little one. They're
Probably
probably
commuter, yeah.
But that's just because it goes that far.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons, but it seemed to have more room inside.
Okay, any other comments on air service?
Where
All right.
does Sun Country fly?
Sun Country flies to Minneapolis, right?
Yes, sir.
Which is Sun Country, that's their headquarters, right? I don't know much about them, except they have a couple of Airbuses. Pardon me?
They've been a good competitor for Northwest.
They're a low-cost carrier, and their whole target market here is golf. It's moving people through here on a Thursday and Sunday to get some golf days in is what they're doing.
What equipment do they fly?
What's
Airbus.
that? 737-800.
Oh, sorry, I thought they had Airbus, whatever. Good. 800's a lot of seats, so that's good. Airport construction.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Michael will give an update on that.
We talked about the, the southerly roadway project this morning. That is hopefully going to bid within the next 30 days or so. The rental car lot project is moving along. We should have the rest of the lighting completed by the end of next week. The long lead item we're struggling with right now are the actual security barriers. They're manufactured overseas, and the contractor is trying to get his supplier to agree to meet the contract terms that they all knew about. So we're working on that.
That's the overhead thing that you drive or don't drive through, right?
No, these are the actual physical pop-up barriers in the roadway system. But all the signage is in place. The landscapers have been planting lots of plants the last 2 weeks, and they're out there again today. At least they were this morning. So it is moving along. It's actually, I think, worked better than a lot of the rental cars expected. The signage was a key component of that project, so the signage helped a lot. As far as the work on the Central Plaza, it is kind of continuing. We have had some discussions with the architects and the structural engineers, as well as the blast protection engineers, and it is kind of moving forward. However, everybody is focused on the project above you with the roadway right now to get that out to bid. So once we kind of get that project out to bid, we're going to kind of bring that one off the back burner and move along with that. We did get the request from the FAA for our annual update to the airport capital improvement last week. So we're working on that. That has to go in, be in FAA's hands by the 27th. So we're working on that and getting our ducks in a row and our requests for money for this federal fiscal lined up so we can keep doing projects.
On the plaza, are we time sensitive on that one also?
No, not really. We would like to get it done or at least under construction as soon as we can. But the real challenge with that project becomes at what point we straighten the road out how do we get the customers from the road to the building in a temporary basis till we get all the improvement done. And with everybody focused on that project, we just haven't had a chance to really tackle that issue. That's a real significant challenge for us, because moving the road is real simple. That's just, grading and paving, so we gotta figure that out.
Yes, Bill.
Mike, did I hear a burp on the news that they are reconsidering the 300-foot?
What you heard is they currently have eliminated the requirement for a 300-foot rule. However, there's always a however. They have tied it to a flexible response based on the Homeland Security Advisory System. So basically, under the current threat assessment by the federal government of yellow, we're not required to maintain compliance with the 300-foot rule. However, when it goes back up to the next level, to the orange level, those would come back into place.
How long does it take to put those back?
Well, we're actually not going to take those size restrictors in the parking lot down. I mean, we see the news just like you guys do, and I think things are probably going to change here at some point. So they are going to remain in place on a temporary basis. When the inspection plaza is completed and fully operational, then we will remove those because there won't be a requirement. I think, Alan probably mentioned it last time, but our plan for this inspection plaza has been in TSA's hands, and basically the new regulation was written with that facility in mind. We sit here almost a year from now and that facility's done, and we're going to be able to move our response in relation to the threat assessment very easily and very quickly, provide better security, and do it with less impact to the customer than we're doing it right now. So we're going to be in great shape when that facility's done. It's going to be a little struggle to get through it.
Any other questions?
Just two other brief updates on the construction.
Yes.
All of the homes in our runway protection zone have been demolished now, so both ends are clear. And the next phase for Phase 4 RSIP is kicking off next week with the design team. So
Great.
we'll be bringing that back to you at a later date for the contractor.
How many?
57 left, actually, that have signed up. We've got about 15 that we're still trying to make contact with to get them involved in either declining to be a part of this or hopefully being a part of it so that we can hopefully make this the final phase.
Yeah. Very good. That project has worked pretty well, all things considered.
Question on this protection zone where you demolish the houses, what's left of the remaining property? Any improvements on it all? Just bare land and weeds and what?
Graded and sprayed with soil stabilization so that the Air Quality Management District will have problems. That's basically how we intend to leave it.
But there are no plans to landscape it or improve it in any way?
Not at this point.
Unless we go, any other questions? If not, add the starters.
There are none, sir.
Okay. Commission requests and reports. We've been through this, Robert.
I'd like to know where we stand on the update of the master plan for the airport. That seems to come and go. I think we ought to have a regular.
Final draft is in our hands, and we are reviewing at this point. Once we're okay with the final draft presented by Kaufman, it will go over to Doug Evans from the planning department. And as long as there are no issues, it appears that we're going to have a negative declaration on any environmental issues, so that we can go ahead and finalize that in a 45-day comment period, and at that point it'll go to the council for approval.
What would disrupt the negative determination?
Anybody that would want to challenge us in terms of any of the improvements that are being made.
Okay, I'll stand at the door.
You got to be any more review by the commission?
At this point, we plan on finalizing it, bringing it back to the commission for final approval.
Any other commissioner requests or reports? Bill?
Yeah, Chuck, and you could have, I missed last month, so it could have been discussed. I got a few calls when the article hit the newspaper about the slowdown or the lack of customers. Did the airport have a heads up that this news was coming out?
I'm not sure I'm following.
Dennis Sun ran a huge article the other month, earlier.
For the ETD, the deadline? Is that?
No, about
Passenger travel.
Passenger travel declining so much.
Oh, yes, we did have a head up on that, and we did speak to that reporter to try to straighten them out. Unfortunately, it was the particular study was done by a group that is promotion of rails and other type of transportation. We did, Mr. Smoot talked to the editor, and even though the story wasn't as positive as it should have been, it was a lot less negative than it could have been.
I guess my question is, I don't know where I'm the only one got some calls on it or not. But any thought about notifying the commissioners that this was coming out?
Well, no, we hadn't done that. If it's something you would like us to do, we can look at doing that. We do get quite a few news-related interests all the time in terms of the media here all the time. So,
At one time, the commissioner discussed no more surprises if we know about it. I don't think it'd be hard to get that information out there.
I would point out, Bill, that November was a bad month just because Thanksgiving flopped into December. The big two isn't, actually December looks very good. So my sense is that we're on a roll and now about to be on a bigger roll here. I think our revenue here is going to be very strong compared to what it was a year ago. And it looks like it's going to be strong. I think once we're through November, I think we're okay. But if people don't, that's hard.
It needs to get out.
Yeah, if you could take the 2 months, November, December, I think you'd get a better picture.
I wasn't.
No, I understand. But that's a comment that I have made to people who asked me the same question. What's going on? What's going on out there? I said, well, you got a number of issues, but it's not as bad as it appears. Mike?
Parking, came in here right at the heat of, I forget which weekend it was, but a couple weekends ago. Just came over here to return a rental car that we rented. My wife aimlessly drove through the parking lot for 20 minutes, finally parked over at the little boxing gym thing. When it gets to that level and if they popping tickets out, might be considered setting a navigator or two over in a golf cart or something. I don't know, it's just how people settle down and figure out the program. I don't know.
well, was that during the Christmas rush?
It was.
We did have the remote
Yes.
parking set up for that very reason, to try to encourage.
Yeah, I think most of us didn't figure that was happening, didn't understand that was happening or.
Well, we did put a news release out, and there was a lot of signage related toward that. And we had 350 cars that parked over there.
Yeah.
But maybe we do need to get that a little closer and work with the APCOA managers.
Yeah, it wasn't just my wife. I mean, I was walking back and there were like at least 8 cars trying to find a spot and didn't put, and they were leaving and yelling at taking tickets,
Okay.
But that's fine. He was very gracious about it, by the way. Good on that.
Thank you for bringing that.
Any other commission requests and reports?
I just want to commend the staff for the airline reception for the Nargle service in Delta and Continental. It went off really nice. Those who attended, it was very good in terms of PR and good press and so forth.
Thank you.
They were very well put together. Brian and Richard deserved a lot.
And the food was much better than airline food.
And
Too bad Continental didn't show up.
yeah, Mayor Kleindienst actually cut and served cake to everybody at the Delta one down at the,
Yeah, great time.
yeah, it became a real gaggle down. It was fun. City council actions are in the minutes with your packet. We don't need to go review those unless somebody wants to. Correspondence, have received a thank you note from Mrs. Franson, which I believe you all have a copy of. Any other correspondence? And staff requests and reports?
There are none.
Okay, then I move that we are adjourned. Second. Whoa, you guys are fast. Till next first Wednesday of February, which is the
5th.
50th. Oh my God, 5th. All right, see you then.